The story of St. Francis of Assisi. He was born in the year 1181 in a small town called Assisi, Italy. His father, Pietro Bernardoni, was a wealthy cloth merchant, and his mother, Pica, was gentle and devout. When he was born, his mother named him Giovanni. But when his father returned from a business trip to France, he called him Francesco the Frenchman, because of his love for all things French. Francis grew up surrounded by comfort. His father's money bought him fine clothes, food, and friends. As a young man, he was cheerful, full of laughter, always at the center of every celebration. People admired him. He dreamed of becoming a knight, of winning battles and earning glory. He had no thought of God yet, only dreams of fame. Then one day, war broke out between Assisi and a neighboring city. Francis joined the soldiers, dressed in shining armor. But war was not what he imagined. He saw death, pain, and fear. Many of his friends were killed, and he was captured and imprisoned for a year. When he finally returned home, he was no longer the same. His body was weak, and his soul restless. He began to feel an emptiness that all the pleasures of life could not fill. His laughter faded. He wandered through the hills around Assisi, searching for meaning. One afternoon, as he rode his horse through the countryside, he met a leper. The sight disgusted him. The man's body was covered in wounds, his face deformed. Francis wanted to turn away, but something inside whispered to him, a quiet voice that said, "This is your brother." He climbed down from his horse, walked up to the man, gave him money, and kissed his hand. When he looked again, the man had disappeared. Francis trembled. From that day, his heart changed. He began visiting lepers, washing their wounds, and serving them with love. He said later, "What seemed bitter to me became sweetness of soul and body." Still confused about his purpose, Francis went to pray in a small, broken chapel called San Damiano. As he knelt before the crucifix, he heard a voice, gentle but clear, saying, "Francis, go and rebuild my church, which you see is falling into ruin." He took the message literally. He sold some of his father's expensive cloth to buy stones and began rebuilding the chapel with his own hands. His father was furious. He dragged him before the bishop and demanded the money back. Standing there in front of everyone, Francis did something no one expected. He took off his fine clothes, laid them at his father's feet, and said, "Until now I have called Pietro Bernardone my father. From now on I will say, 'Our Father who art in heaven.'" From that moment he walked away barefoot, wearing a simple tunic made of rough cloth. He had given up everything. Francis begged for food, prayed for long hours, and helped the poor. People laughed at him, thinking he was mad. But soon others began to notice something different. There was peace in his eyes and joy in his voice. He spoke of God's love as if he had seen heaven. Men began to follow him. They wore simple clothes, owned nothing, and preached love and repentance. They called themselves the Friars Minor, meaning the Little Brothers. Francis taught them, "We must be joyful in poverty, gentle with all, and obedient to Christ." Francis saw beauty in everything God made. He called the sun Brother Sun and the moon Sister Moon. He spoke to birds, and they listened. He praised God for the wind, the water, and even for death. He said, "If we call the earth our mother, then all creation is our family." One day, a fierce wolf attacked the town of Gubbio. The people were terrified. Francis went out to meet it. As the animal charged, Francis made the sign of the cross and said, "Come here, brother wolf. In the name of Christ, do not harm anyone." The wolf stopped, bowed its head, and lay at his feet. From that day, the wolf became gentle and lived peacefully with the townspeople. Francis's fame spread. Even priests and nobles came to hear him preach. But he remained humble, always calling himself a little man. He often said, "I am what I am before God, nothing more, nothing less." In 1219, during the Crusades, Francis traveled to Egypt to meet the Muslim Sultan, Al-Kamil. Everyone thought he would be killed, but the Sultan welcomed him. The two men spoke for days about faith, peace, and God. The Sultan, moved by Francis's courage and kindness, let him go unharmed. Francis returned to Italy saying, if men spoke to each other from love, there would be no war. Years passed. His order grew rapidly, spreading across Europe. But fame never changed him. He told his followers, we must never own gold or silver. We must never lose the joy of our poverty. Then came the greatest mystery of his life. In the year 1224, while praying deeply on Mount Laverna, Francis had a vision of Christ crucified. Rays of light came from the wounds of Christ and pierced his hands, feet, and side. When the light faded, Francis discovered he had received the same wounds, the stigmata, the marks of Jesus on his own body. He hid them at first, but those close to him saw and wept. The pain was terrible, yet he never complained. He said, my love is crucified. His body grew weaker with time. Illness and blindness followed, but his heart was full of peace. He composed a song called The Canticle of the Sun, praising God for every part of creation, even for sister death. He died on October 3, 1226, at the age of 44. 2 years later, the church declared him a saint. His body rests in the great Basilica of St. Francis in Assisi, but his spirit continues to live in every heart that seeks simplicity, humility, and peace. St. Francis of Assisi, the rich young man who became poor, the fool who became wise, the beggar who became a saint, reminds us that true joy is found not in possessions, but in loving God with all our heart.